episode of season 2 of the Silent Switch podcast. I'm your co-host Latrell. I'm here with the one and only Mr. Julian
What's
Jackson. What up, man? How
up,
you
Trey? How,
feeling?
how you doing? I'm doing good, man. How about yourself?
Man, I can't complain, bro. It's good to be back here. I feel like we've been very consistent, man, with the podcast these past 3 weeks. So it's 3 Thursdays in a row. So this I feel like it's a big
Three in a
accomplishment
row.
for it, bro. Like I feel like the first season we was like on and off, man. We have 2 weeks consistently, then we'll fall off
hmm
like a month. But I'm very happy, man. We've been consistent, like each Thursday doing this, so I feel good.
Yeah, they always say, consistency is key. So I feel like we've been real consistent. Let's keep this thing going. Let's keep doing this every week. I'm looking forward to today's episode, though.
Man, yeah, me too, bro. So today's episode, last episode was my like basically giving my story, my
Mm.
testimony, all that good stuff, whatever. But now we finna hear your story, man. We finna tell you gonna tell our viewers, a little bit more about yourself. You're gonna break down like the ins and out of Julian Jackson, like what makes you you, what makes you tick. We're gonna really dive deep, man, in your childhood, your personal life, man, your goals, your failures, your losses, just basically anything you feel like sharing, share it. Like I told you before we got started, man. It's gonna be your show, man. We just want to hear your story, your testimony, man. So I'm gonna throw you some questions here and there, but I'm gonna let you do your thing, though.
Definitely excited about that, man. Excited to share my story with our listeners. So hey, let's get into it.
All right. So, man, the first question I have for you, it's not gonna be too crazy. Just, I want you to kind of break down these 3 different phases of your life. So basically, I want you to talk about first your childhood, and then I want you going into your teenage years, like break down like your childhood, your teenage years separately. Then I want you to talk about your adulthood, like basically, bring up anything you feel like really impacted you in those areas of your life. How did you feel? How did you view it? All that good stuff.
Okay, definitely. You kind of threw a lot at me, but if
Oh
I
my
if I
bad.
had to, if I had to ask a question, midway, then I ask a question.
Hey, I
Um,
feel like here there's a lot at work. There's no dumb questions. So if you got a question, ask.
All right, then perfect. All right, so I'm gonna start with my childhood, like you said, Terrell. My childhood played a key part in my life. It was something that really, made me into the person I am today. And there's kind of three things that I really want to focus on. We talk about my childhood, is my identity. Um, you know, not having not having a father figure in the home, but also just the impact that my family made on me. It's my two brothers and my mom. And so those three areas really kind of solidified me as a person at a young age. First thing with my identity, as you guys can see, I'm a black man, but not the typical looking black man. And as a kid, I totally looked. I didn't, wasn't, really didn't look like this. So I looked more of like a different ethnicity. But for me in school, how school is, that really played a key part in me figuring out who I was, building that confidence, but also feeling like left out in certain parts of my life in school. And so the biggest thing that I got every single day was, what race are you? Like, what's your identity? What's your mama? What's your daddy? Like, why you look like that? Those type of questions. And so as a kid, you trying to navigate through life. You really don't know. You don't know how to answer those questions. It's not like, somebody told you, like, if somebody asked you those questions, answer this way. And then on top of it, my mom would make it better, which I love my mom. But she make it better because, she would say, like like you're from Egypt, those type of things,
Right,
kind of say like, Black King type thing.
right.
Because I didn't meet my dad to my eighth grade year. So as a kid, I'm like, okay, like I guess I am this Egyptian king, I am this Egyptian, kid. And I really kind of took it to heart. I was like, okay, I'm unique looking. Um, but that really made me, want to really like learn myself, and throughout my life, I've learned myself throughout my life. There's different parts where, I truly fall into the person I am. Um, so identity was a big piece. Like I said earlier, um, the second thing, I think I said the second thing or maybe the third thing, but the third thing and the second thing was like not having a father figure. Grew up in a single parent home. My mom, my two brothers, we were really close. You know what I'm saying? Really close. We stuck together. Like you said last week, Trail, about, my mom always provided for us no matter what, no matter the circumstances. She put us in the right places. She made sure we had, great character, made sure that we were respectful. Respect, took us a long way in life, and it's still taking us some places. Yes, sir, no, sir. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Talking to somebody, looking in their eyes, that type of stuff. And so, for us, she was like, just if you guys could just carry yourself this way right here, it'll take it a long way. For me, I was kind of going against the grain because had a lot of anger as a kid. Like I said, lack of father in the home. I was kind of angry of like, why wouldn't nobody want me? You know what I'm saying? But then I quickly realized as I got older, it actually gave me that drive. It made me realize like, okay, this person's not here. That some other space is going to be able to take that, space, take that spot for me. So like I said, impacting my brothers, the drive that I had. And so that's what kind of with the second piece. The third piece, like I said, was my brothers. Those dudes are amazing. Those are my superheroes. My mom's my superhero as well. But my brothers, they taught me, the ins and outs of life. They taught me like, yes, you're gonna have anger. Yes, you're gonna lose. Sometimes, yeah, you need to, even though you're scared to do something, do it. And that, made me become confident. And so I remember being like maybe being like elementary school playing football for the first time, and they were like trying to pull me out the car, that type of stuff. And I don't want to do this, but I was good in neighborhood sports. But when it came to actual organized, I was scared. They said even if you don't, do good at it, just go out there and face your fear. And so that was something that kind of stuck with me, for the longest. And then just the love that they had, the love that they had for me, to really, show me the way. My brother, Ryan is more of like, bro, if you do this right here, like you got to get it. So my brother Mike is, I'm gonna show you the steps you got to take. So Ryan was more of like the affirmation. Mike was more of like the, leading by example with actions. So with that, that's driven me. And then, like I said, my mom, being able to, work two jobs, start nursing school, making sacrifices of leaving nursing school, to make sure that me and my bros were in the right spaces in the right places at the right time. So that's my, elementary, middle school, similar as well. Middle school, went to 3 different middle schools. Actually 2 different middle schools because homeschool don't count, but I'm not sure if you knew. But 6th grade year, I went to public school. No, I lived in Florida, Pensacola, Florida. Then 7th grade year, we moved to Mobile, back my hometown where I'm from. Went to Catholic school 1 year. That's when that exposure came to me that, there's so much more in life that I had never seen. And, I thank my mom for giving me that 1 year opportunity to see that stuff. But school costs a lot. Private school costs a lot. So she made the decision to take me out of private school and went to the public school for 1 day my 8th grade year. One of the worst schools in Mobile. I ain't gonna say the name. But basically, she did homeschool in 8th grade year, which that was that was different because like that wasn't that many. There wasn't no students there. It was kind of me and maybe a couple of students. But those played some key, parts of my life that kind of helped me to really focus on, the grind, understand what the grind was. And so I think the next part was just like high school. I went to 2 different high schools. Went to high school in Oxford, Mississippi, my 9th, 10th grade year. And then my 11th, 12th grade year. I went to school in Dothan. That's how I met you, Trail. But like I said, in those times, it meant so much to me because they really kind of made me into the person I am. And Trail, you could attest to this. I'm constantly kind of figure out, okay, like I'm always going like this made me, this made me, this made me. I never forget where I came from, because without that, I wouldn't even be here. So that's what gave me that drive. That's what gave me that happiness. That's what gave me just that, like I said, we got a brotherhood. I see like Trail's the same person, from high school, like as far as like brothers. Things never change for me because as far as like wanting that story or my story to be told. But I'm really, like I said, that really got into my my life, my professional life. And I'm not sure if I answered the question. Sure, I know I went on the whole little rant.
No, no, you
um
good.
but yeah, all those things play a key part of my life.
Oh no, you did. Like I said, man, this is your journey, your story. You tell it however you want to tell it. You
Mm.
definitely did answer those questions, man. I think the only question I would have for you for like your childhood years, is there anything like in particular you felt like impacted you, like anything that you dealt with, or any like feelings or emotions you had to go through?
Like I said, with identity, I started having like a lot of anger, because not having my dad, made me so mad, especially like started being around friends who had their dad. But it made me angry because like I have my two older brothers, they have the same dad. So like me, I'm like, wait a second, you guys have your dad, like, where's my dad? Like, I'm like, am I worthy to, have that as well? Like, why don't I have it? Am I not good enough? So that anger, it was anger, lack of confidence. And then just like another piece of two is like that trust. I had lost trust and, like I said, I started losing trust in people. Because like I said, I was told, I love my mom. I was told I was a, Egyptian, and I'm not, I'm not in Egypt right now, so so you can see why that stuff kind of built up, but it made me into who I am. Like I said, it brought me and my family really close. And as I got older, I was able to have those conversations, but it was more of like a protection thing. But for that protection, I had a lot of anger because my family was trying to protect me.
Right, that makes sense. I could definitely relate to not growing up without a dad. Cause I said that
Mhm.
my spill last week too, man. I grew up the same way. So I heard you say a couple of times like you grew up with like lack of confidence and all that stuff. What do you feel like that came from? Just not having a dad, or just was it something more internal?
I think it was come from not having a dad. I think a lot of people don't realize the impact that it has on people. And for me, that was my biggest thing. It wasn't like I knew I was talented. I knew I was talented. I knew that I was really determined on what I wanted to do. Um, but I think just not having that person be there, and like seeing and having those affirmations, made so much, it will make make such a difference. I was having those affirmations, having someone to like pick you up, having, a dad to like give you a hug and stuff like that, which you
Right.
typically typically don't get. I mean, I know I didn't get it. Um, so for me, it was like, it was tough because like I said, it was something, that I didn't know how it looked, but I wanted it, if that makes sense.
Right. And you felt like that not having it, was trip gave you insecurity. You could have to question
Oh
yourself.
yeah.
If these people, like you said, your brothers had their dad, and your friends had their dad, like maybe they're just better than me. Like it's just a lot of questions that a kid can't answer by themselves. So it's tough.
Like you said, the insecurity, I think the insecurity, like I said, identity for me, like I knew that, I'm tall, so I got that from my mom's side. I have features of my mom. But on the other side, I didn't know what this person looked like. I didn't know, you know, like how texture this person's hair, how tall this person was, all those different things. So, that was tough for me because I was just like, I don't know who's the other half of me. So it makes me insecure. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
And so there's like they always say like pieces of you, pieces of me, that type thing. Like your parents are pieces of both your, you are pieces of both of your parents. So to have pieces from my mom and I have pieces from my dad, it tore me up because I'm like, I should have both, and I think I deserve both. But long story short, I met my dad in eighth grade for the first time. Um, and after I met him, I accepted, like I didn't even have a question. First time I met him, gave him a hug, was like, thank you. Like, crying and all that stuff. But as I got older, I was just like, you know what? I appreciate him, like coming into my life. But also, like I said, I appreciate him not being in my life as I got older because it made me be so much more driven. I would say if I had him, I might have just been kind of just going through the motion. But since I didn't have him, like I got to get it. If I don't get it, then it won't happen. Type thing.
So how did that drive you? So how did that not having your dad in your life? How did that drive your relentlessness and your drive? How did that happen?
It just made me. It became like I created like this kind of person within. That wasn't my dad. It was like myself affirming myself, if that makes sense. And basically, I was like, Julian, if you do these things, then you'll be amazing. Julian, if you do these things, then you'll be great. You know, because it was like I had to be like my biggest fan, like for myself. Um, so like for me, it was just like if you could just be this way right here, if you can, I created something in my mind. I mean, most people can do it, most people can't. I don't know how I did it, but I appreciate the little young me who just kind of turned some on and said, "Hey, this is what it's gonna be." But like I said earlier, my bros, I think they play a big part of that. Like my brother Mike he taught me driving about in seventh grade. And once I learned how to drive, I was like, drive can take me so much further than this person can, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, that's a tough skill to have, especially as a teenager, man, as a kid. Like you said, a lot of adults don't even have that. It takes people decades and whole lifetimes to kind of get that, man. But it's cool to see like you took a negative situation in your life and you turned to a positive, man. So that's
But
very
I'm not
cool.
gonna lie, I still had questions. Every kid
Oh
has
yeah,
questions.
uh,
You still
uh,
want to know the answers from the past, type of stuff.
but the
But
fact that you was able to take your hold on, dang, it just died. Okay,
oh no,
hopefully,
you go.
okay, it just turned off. Put it back on what it was. Sorry about that. I should.
Oh no, technical problems. You good though?
Yeah, I thought my license was like
Oh
that.
no.
But dang, what was I saying? But yeah, it's just cool that she was able to take a negative man in your life and
Mm,
turn it into something positive, bro. Like a lot of people, especially kids, can't do that. I
yeah,
know you still had questions, but like you still was able to see the bigger picture. Like, okay, he's not in my life, so what? I still got a life to live.
yeah.
So, so I know you might have brought this up, man, in the past. I know you probably did bring this up in the past episodes, but can you talk about your experience in college? Like, how was going to Wake Forest and all that for
hmm So my experience in college, was good and good. Everything has goods and bads. But I'm gonna kind of start with the goods first. Like I said, high school, went to Dalton High School. It's a good school. As far as you know, we just we all kind of it's a 6A, but it's small. Um, but there wasn't anybody as far as outside of you. Um, that kind of had the same mindset as me. And so for me, being able to go to a place that kind of opened my eyes to so much, meant the world to me. And one thing that Wake did for me, Wake made me realize that, there's so much more in life. But also, the way that you carry yourself as a person. And I remember like going to Wake before even going on my visit there, when we saw a video, they Wake Forest like, we want guys that are strong, guys with great character and guys who love, football. And I was like, well, I don't know what character is, but I really am like to myself and me and my friend Trail, we do this, daily. And we are very respectful, stuff like that. So I guess we got good character. And so we get there. I mean, I get there and I realized that it was the right fit for me. Being around some, similar minded guys, around some guys who, were very accepting because we all come from like different backgrounds. I think the biggest part was just like the athletic piece, we all kind of had a bond. I had my two friends that I really kind of stuck with. But as far as in the school, it was totally different. Professors were really nice, but it wasn't professors that weren't like welcoming. It was the students. And so a lot of students I went to school with, parents of CEOs, um, basketball, NBA basketball coaches, all type of stuff. And so for me, that really opened my eyes. Like, okay, yes, I'm in this space with students who don't have anything, in common with me. But also it's showing me that if they can be here, then I can be here. And so it opened my eyes that way. Another thing too, um, like I said, it gave me that drive. I already had that drive, but it gave me that drive times 10, to be able to create, have that repetition, have that, that consistency, on the field, in the classroom, even in the community. That was one thing that they emphasized. Um, but like I said, it was good. And then certain things, as an athlete, as a football player, as an athlete, you got to, the negative things as far as, like not things not going your way. But I think the biggest thing that it taught me was like endurance, staying committed, to the grind, and staying determined. And so you was like during my time there, I had times where I had my lows, my highs. sophomore year of college, my dad had passed away. Um, so being able to kind of navigate through that stuff, like while being a Division I student athlete, was a lot. But the bads for it, a couple of bads, but it's not like going to change my whole perspective on my whole experience. But it allowed me to grow as an individual. So I say my time at Wake allowed me to grow as an individual, allowed me to grow as a man. But also, it gave me those values that allowed me to be the person I am today.
Yeah, that's cool, man. It's just crazy to see how life can work like that.
Mhm.
So I know you probably felt like. Did you ever feel like it was too big for you, like going to that college? How did you feel when you first got on campus, going from like a small town like Dothan to a big college like Wake Forest that has, like you said, a lot of different moving parts there. You got kids from all across the country, with different type of resources and family dynamics. How did you feel initially when you got?
When I first got there, I was scared. I was like, talking about this is college, and then Wake is a you know, really is a high, school is really focused on academics. And so for me, my high school wasn't like an academic school, it was like one of the best school. Um, but when I got there, I was intimidated. I was like, okay, like, wait a second. These classes are a little, difficult. Okay, this school work, like, we really got a lot of work we got to do. Okay, my high school didn't prepare me at all, that type of thing. But just, like I said, having that support and stuff over, I think it kind of, when you start to do something more and more, it builds that confidence. So from freshman year, I was like, boy, I can't even write a 1-page paper. To, as a senior, writing an 8 to 10 page paper, like, in 4 hours. Um, just because it kind of that confidence over time.
Right. Yeah, it's cool to see. Like, that was growth in that. Like you said, when you first got there, you was you was afraid, you was scared, intimidated slightly, and then you had to figure out how to navigate it, man. But once you got it, you got it. Now you said, like, now you can do like 10 pages in your sleep. That's
Yeah,
great. That just shows that, like, just because you don't get something the first time or something very challenging at the beginning doesn't mean that you won't ever get it. It just takes time. That's good. That's good to see.
and also another thing too is just like sharing basically like, yeah, those are the goods, of college, but in college you have a lot of eye opening things that happen to you, things that, like I was talking to, we talked last week about things you didn't have planned, things that kind of just pop up. A lot of those things happened in college for me. But it allowed me to be like, you know, have adversity, allowed me to be, to have humility, those type of things that during those times I'm like, they really not gonna, allow me, they really gonna hold me back. But as I'm older, they actually, help me grow as as a person, as a young man, all those things.
Right. It's like we always talk about, man. It's not really failures in life, man. It's just lessons that you either choose to learn from or not. Everything happened for a reason, and it's up to you to make that reason, just like you did with not having a dad in your life consistently. Use that in a positive way, man. And you have to use your losses too in life the same way. But man, I
Definitely.
really like So we went over your childhood, your teenage years, your college years. Now let's get to your adult years, like basically, man, you are now. Can you talk more about that, like the person you are, the roles you play in life right now, and how did you get to this point?
So the person that I am, goes back to my story of like life, things happening in life, the different chapters, the chapters before made me to the person I am now. Um, I've been through some tough times. I've been through some good times, some tough times, but I think the biggest thing was the tough times that I've been through allowed me to be the person I am. With like really making me like stay focused and be determined on never giving up. I said that's the biggest thing he taught me: never giving up on life, never giving up on dreams, never giving up on people. And so I think the biggest thing with that. So I'm gonna kind of share just some moments, key moments for me. Um, fresh, like I said, went to college and everything, but right when I got done playing college, um, I went back to square one. Square one was, working at Academy Sports. Fresh out of college, I just got wait for it, degree. I'm like, I'm the man with the plan. I should be good, right? No. Um, but what that did was it humbled me. It made me realize that, I do still need to work on certain parts of my life. But then after that, I had my little girl. I had a little girl. I got married. And so that right there kind of helped me grow. But it also taught me more than that. After, by year after my little girl was born, I got divorced. That helped me grow and really learn myself. Because like I said, fresh out of college at 23, you know, missing the love of the game, um, you know, kind of going back to square one, and having my little girl, really put a lot on me. You know what I'm saying? Um, but basically what it did for me, it made me realize like, okay, life still goes on. And that's something that I still, live by. But it has allowed me to get to the place that I am today. So we're gonna talk about careers later, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so it allowed me to get where I am today, like make like all those things that happen. It allowed me to meet my amazing wife, to have my youngest little girl, Raylan. And it's been a blessing. It really has made me realize, like I said, at times in my life where things were dark, you know, it could have took a hold on me and made me, call it quits and be done with everything. But just being able to stay determined, being able to maneuver through, tough times allowed me to, to receive the rewards. And so those things are happening now. Um, and so, yeah, so those things have been really good for me.
Okay. That's awesome, man. It's great. So I definitely want to touch on one part of this, man. Since I didn't have the ability to kind of, talk about this in my testimony because I'm not married. Can you give us the viewers a little bit? You don't have to talk about it for a long time, but just give the viewers a little like sneak peek in your life and how like how did you meet your wife? How did y'all cultivate that marriage? And how hard is it to be a husband? Like what do you have to do on a daily basis to make it work?
hmm so that's a good question. Um, I think the biggest thing with being a husband is reflection, being able to reflect, but being able to always look for areas of improvement. Just like you playing a sport or something, it's the same exact way. And so for me, being a husband, being a father, it's just like how can I assist? How can I assist? How can I help? How can I make my significant other smile? How can I make sure my significant other is being heard? How can I make sure that my significant other is um, like I'm doing their love language, focus on their love language, things like that. Um, and so the biggest thing that I do, I kind of, like I said, a lot of my stuff like kind of carries over. That's why I said if you live your life one way, it's going to carry over to the other parts of your life. And for me, I always kind of, I'm always reflecting each week. I'm like, okay, this week right here, um, spend time with my wife, but I need to spend more time with my wife. Right now, she needs me at this time because right now is a tough time, at work for her. Right now, she needs me to just give her a big hug. Um, and so, like I said, just actually being intentional with that stuff. And I heard that, a couple of years ago. I think it was ET was saying intentionality, and really focusing on that. Is a big part. Like I said, I grew up single parent home. Didn't have a dad growing up. Didn't have a father figure in the home. Didn't even, didn't have my mom wasn't, married. She got married, but kind of got divorced before, but didn't have an example of that. So as a young man, I'm still young. As a as a husband, I realized that as life goes on, I'll learn. But also being intentional, like in my marriage, but also reaching out, and having conversations with men who have had successful marriages, men who have, who are able to, help me grow. And then also share their, the things that they work, things that don't work. Um, that's a big part of being a husband. So I say really being open to listening is a big part with that.
That's good, man. Yeah, I'm glad you was able to share that because, like I said, I wasn't able to touch on that, but it's a very important piece of your life. You know what I mean? As men, we want to, what a lot of us do, want to aspire to, eventually start a family and all that stuff.
hmm
But it's not like, just like you said about getting a degree. Just because you get it, it don't stop. Just because you finally get married and have that family, don't mean you just, stop working. It's a daily grind. It's a daily
Yep.
practice.
Comes
You have
with
to
work.
exactly comes with work, just like everything else in life. So I'm glad you're able to
hmm
kind of touch on that, kind of shed some light for some people that might have viewed this like, damn, I had those same, questions or those same thing I'm dealing with. So that's a cool thing to share.
And the last
So,
thing too, my bad. Before
are you
last
good?
thing too is like there's never a right time. Um, and so like as you're like in a marriage, you know, if you think about getting married or somebody who engaged or something like that, it's never like you know, you're always gonna learn. Like don't think that you gotta come in and have all your stuff together. You know, we see like in the world, you go, oh, you gotta be this perfect person. No. If you got the right person, you're gonna grow with that person. There's gonna be some flaws that they have, there's gonna be some things they have to work on, and vice versa. But being able to help each other grow, pour into each other's life, um, will allow your marriage to flourish, but also allow you, you know, to love yourself even more.
Yeah, that's real, man. I'm glad you shared that part too. And that's something
Mhm.
again, it's probably somebody out there that's listening that need to hear that, or can come across this and be like, damn, I can relate to that. So it's
Yeah,
good that you sharing that part of his testimony too, man. Not just like, yeah, I'm married, I got this family, I'm doing this and that, but yeah, I'm still working hard to make sure I maintain all this stuff. Because it's one thing to get it, but it's easy to lose it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like you still got to do the work for everything, not just your family, but also your career too. So that's the next part I want to ask you about, man. Is you're not just a family man, you're a career man. You got a job, you got you know, something you're striving for. So can you talk a little bit more about your career, man, and what made you want to take that career option?
Before I talk about career real quick, Trail, another piece of that is fatherhood. Realizing once you have kids and you have a marriage, it's like being able to balance the two. Those are not the same exact thing. Those are two different things. So being able to pour into your marriage, being able to pour into your kids are two different things, and not getting those things mixed up where they both like impact each other. Instead, it's like this right here. I'm gonna focus on my marriage, focus on what I can do in my marriage. I'm gonna focus on my kids and do what I can do to focus on my kids. So just realizing those are two different things, and those things come with practice. But
Yeah.
that's all I gotta say about that. So
Oh no, you good.
careers, my bad. It just
Oh,
popped
you
in
good.
my head.
You good.
But career. So that was something like I said earlier, Trail. Kind of navigating through life, where realizing that you're not gonna have it all together. It's gonna come with trial and error. It's gonna come with asking questions. It's gonna come with trying stuff out. You never try. And if you never try, you'll never know. So kind of give you a little background on my journey, as a my working experience. But like I say, I started, first job out of college was, sports academy, sports and outdoors. Shout out to the, what I'm saying, it was amazing. For the time being, it was all right. But but basically, like I said, got into education after I worked at Sports and Outdoors Academy. Um, and so in education, it kind of opened my mind to a new space. As a kid, we didn't see the importance of education, and I think my brother kind of touched on this on another episode. But we didn't see the importance of education. As kids, like we just want to play the game. We just want to go outside, play some football, play basketball, ride a bike. Be active like kids are not doing nowadays. But that's what we wanted to do. But getting to education in the space of actually teaching and seeing the curriculum and all those things like that, and seeing the impact that it had, I quickly realized that this is a space that I could really change some lives, just like other people changed my life as well. Um, and so being in that space, I'm like learning as I go, fresh out of school, not sure if it'll work out. A lot of anxiety, a lot of stress because it's not something I'm used to. You play a sport your whole life, go to college, those things become normal to you. But once you get into a whole new space, of like the working space, you're like, okay, how does this look? How do I navigate this? What do I truly like? I don't know anything. So if I don't know anything, make sure that I, like ask questions. And that was something that allowed me to, be successful in that space, was asking questions from, older peers and individuals like that. Um, so that got me to basically, to where I am now. Been in Pensacola, Florida. I was teaching Catholic school, coaching. So I wanted something different. One of my colleagues came to me one day, an older gentleman, and he's like, that you can always come back to coaching and teaching. And, I was like, oh, wait a second, what? He's like, yeah. So decided to make a decision to move all the way to Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, a place called Ames, Oklahoma, go to the University of Central Oklahoma, work with a federally funded program called Gear Up, stands for Gaining Early Awareness and Readiness for Undergrad Programs. And basically it's promoting post-secondary for students who, like in low income families, similar to how I grew up. So giving back to students that reminded me of myself, giving back to families, moms that reminded me of my mom. So that was the space I got into, um, and then from there, kind of made that transition to move back to North Carolina, and basically start get back to education. Taught fourth and fifth grade. I love the kids. The kids are future future of this world, future future leaders. Is in that space, and I said, what, I wanted to be able to kind of do the work that I did before. And God allowed me to get back into Gear Up program here at the college that I'm at now. Um, allowed me to make an impact. And then I realized that, I wanted to be, student facing. I wanted to talk, meet with K-12, which is like middle school, high school students, but now I wanted to focus on students in college and be front facing. I wanted to be able to pour into young men of color who come to college and does not have, anyone to talk to, or does not have anyone to guide them through, through their journey. um, and a place where they can be open, a place where they can be vulnerable and not feel like they got to be this, tough person, but a place where, I'm able to pour into their lives, empower them every single day. And so that's the work that I do. And so basically I'm a success coach, but success coach is like, it's a success coach. Um, with the title of success coach, there's a variety of things you can do. I say the biggest thing is coming, work, being authentic. If you do that, um, students are going to, like talk to you, get to know you, those type of things. So, like I said, I love that type of work. I love it. My goal is to, continue to stay in higher education. My goal is to get an EDD, which is a doctorate in education. Goes to possibly be, kind of run a program that focuses on supporting males, not even just minority males, or males in general, and just focus on even just student success. Anything that has to do with student success or any of those type of things. That's the type of stuff I'm very passionate about. Um, and I say the biggest thing to me is just basically being able to help, students or whoever, change the life of not only themselves, but life of their, for their families, by being first gen, by being leaders and being an example for their family. So that's what it means to me. I'm very passionate about it. It's something that I go to sleep thinking about. It's something where I want to help them tell their stories. Just like I'm telling my story now, each of them have a story. So that's why I love the work that I do.
I love to hear that, man. Yeah, it's great that you kind of came full circle with that journey. It started off, sound like it started off as something you didn't really want to do, or kind of just did just cause it was available, and then it turned into something, like you said, you're very passionate about, you fell in love with. So can you talk about that a little bit more? Like, how did you fall in love with teaching? Like, what really made you so passionate about doing this to help people? Because you can help people in so many different ways, but why did this became the path for your passion and flow?
Like I said, you said full circle. I see my students as myself. I'm very empathetic, sympathetic, whatever the term is, both terms. But basically I always put myself in the shoes of others. For my students, I always think of that younger me, that little boy who, was dealing with identity problems, little boy that was dealing with, not having someone to talk to. Um, and a lot of students, have so many different things that they're carrying, that they're carrying with them. Like it's a book bag, it's trauma, it's past, it's people putting them down, it's people not being there for them. So being able to be that person, for them, means so much to me. Can I ask that question more a little bit more?
What's up?
Yeah, say a little bit more with that question. The question kind of skipped. I was going, but
Oh,
then I
oh no, you good. You good. So basically, just talk. I want to know more about that passion, because you sound like you say you're very passionate. Like, where does that come from? You was kind of touching on it when you
uh
were talking about, like, you see yourself in these kids. So basically, not only helping them, but you helping your old self, being that person you wish you had in your life. And I
yeah.
want you to
So
kind of touch on that a little bit more. Like, where did that come from, and what sparks it, every day for.
what sparks it for me, like you said, being there, be there for my younger self, being the person that I wish I would have had. That's the thing, the biggest thing. Being the person I wish I would have had, but also being able to actually like do something that's meaningful. You know what I'm saying? Do something that where they're able to see, I want to see, I want to see them win. And that came with, like I said, it came from like the thing that I built in me back when I was younger. That came with just my brothers like pouring into me. That came with my mom's story. Um, but basically that came with just me being able to be that for them. And so the thing is, like for me, that's we do a Silent Switch podcast. It has meaning behind it.
Right.
But my biggest thing was just like, how can I help them like stay up? How can I help them stay motivated? Life is throwing all these things at you. Life gonna throw so much at you. And I always tell my students, life's gonna throw so much at you. You're dealing with all these things at home, all these things at work. When you come into this space, the space where I'm at, you know, when you come face to face with me, I'm gonna lift you up. I'm gonna show you I'm gonna tell you that you mean something. I'm going to tell you that your future is bright because you may have never heard those things before. So I'm gonna be that person that tells you. And if you have heard that before, I'm gonna continue to pour into your cup, just like everybody else been pouring into your cup. But so for me, that came from just you know, the weight out, the things that I've been through in life, but also the things that I take in, the biggest thing, we kind of touched on music before with like Nipsey and things like that. But that type of stuff really anything that's positive, has a positive energy for me or has something where it can uplift you. I love the story of somebody that comes from nothing to something. I love it. I love just the analogy of like didn't have anything, not have everything. Or back then you didn't want me, now I'm hot all on me. That type of thing. So I mean that's that's real.
Yeah.
And so what I like, I do with my my students and it's a passion for me. I tell them like, yes, you've been through these things right here. Hey, but you about to win. Hey, you done had these losses, but hey, there's only so many losses you can have. You're gonna eventually win. What you got to do is take those steps. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna help you take those steps to make that happen.
Right.
We're gonna take those steps. We first gonna come up with a plan, and then we're gonna create the steps that we need to do to make that happen. And I'm on this journey with you. This is not my journey. You know, this is not your journey. This is our journey. I'm gonna be right side by side with you. To get through whatever you get, going through. So that's how I live. Selfless person for most people, they'll say like, oh, like, it may not be the most money rewarding, thing but for me, I'm driven by passion, and that came through realizing that, God had a bigger calling for me and that's his calling.
Yeah. That's real, man. That's the thing about success. It's something that it's self-defined. Right? It's something nobody else can define that for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I feel like a lot of people are searching for. Like, how do you define success? A lot of in today's world, we kind of like you said, money is the big. How much money you make, how much, how many likes you get, how famous you are, how well known and well valued you are. But for you, like you said, your success is in your passion. You really enjoy the aspect of the human struggle with overcoming adversity and battling. There's just a competitor in you, right? That's just who you
Yep.
are as a person. So that's why you're so led to stuff like that. So that's good to hear, man. Like I really love hearing how like your past. I can hear it when you're talking about it, how passionate you are for the kids and what you do. And it seemed like it's something that you not seem, but it's something you're definitely going to take full advantage of. You're going to do your best, and you're going to try your hardest to be the best man you can. That's something that I'm pretty sure the kids take to heart, man. They need people like that, like role models like that in their lives to show them, like, hey, it's possible for you to be exactly who you want to be, and be happy with that and do the things you want to do with your life. That's cool, man. I love hearing that. So, bro, like I know we talked about like your career and your childhood, your teenage years, your adult life, your family life. I want to know also, man. Not only the good things, but also the struggles you had to go through, the obstacles you had to overcome. That made you who you are too, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to hear you talk more about that. Like, if you could just, you ain't got to be a whole list, but talk about some of the obstacles you had to deal with. And kind of it really impacted your life.
So some of the obstacles, that I deal with a lot of obstacles. That's why I love like, this like to start from nothing to something. Um, some of the first obstacles that, like I started was like not having my dad. Another obstacle too is like, another obstacle for me was just like kind of like living, so my mom always made sacrifice for it, but at certain times, we didn't have, every single thing. And those some type of obstacles when you think about kind of the starting point. You have some students you start at two different points of your life. Some students start 10 yards ahead of somebody else. So I was that student who was 10 yards behind. So just figuring out what I can do to do that. So that was kind of obstacle. Like as a kid, like I said, another obstacle was just the identity thing. Another obstacle too was just you know, that anger was just a big obstacle for me. That was something that kind of controlled my life, so much of it. And so I realized, that those obstacles, kind of, made me to the person I am. And I kind of touched on that earlier. Um, so that was kind of thing, the anger, the, lack of not having certain things, lack of a father. But then as the obstacles, as I got older, you know, things start to happen and start to pop up, like I said, the unexpected things. So some of those unexpected things earlier, like I told you, was like freshman year, sophomore year of college, father passing away, the obstacles, of trying to deal with that, trying to navigate through something that had such a hold on me. Another thing as well, like I said, um trying to figure out my identity, fresh out of school, that was an obstacle, deal with depression really bad. And then also the another thing is, like I said, fresh out of college, had a child, like 23 years old, still trying to learn myself, but have a child, get married, and then get divorced. For a lot of people, that's a negative thing, but for me, that allowed me to grow so much, really like learn myself. And then another obstacle too was just trying to overcome like the things that life had been thrown at. I mean, it had thrown overcome the things that life had thrown at me. So like the obstacle of life was the biggest thing for me. The obstacle of life of being a little boy, come from a single parent home, you know, two brothers, a mom, trying to make it, trying to make life, try to come from nothing to something, to try to make a change for not only myself, but make a change for for my daughters, for my wife. So I can not so this could be a generational thing, that this thing won't have to happen anymore.
Man, that's and I really like how you really show your resiliency, man, through all the struggles you've been with. 'Cause what you named some really tough stuff. You talk about some really tough things, man.
Mm,
Loss, depression, divorce. All those different things that a lot of people can relate to. But you just show like how like even when you go through all that, it doesn't that doesn't define your story. That wasn't the end for you, right? Like you still had more to do with life. But you had to get to this point you are now where you're trying to, you're growing and thrive. You had to go through that stuff. You had to go through the hard times, the bad times, and deal with all that stuff. 'Cause you had to learn.
mm,
There's probably lessons in there you need to learn, the things you need to see. So
yeah.
it's cool to see how like all like you said earlier, all the stuff come full circle. Like all your bad, the losses, the bad things that happen to you can really circle back and reflect on them in life. Like, damn, I'm kind of glad I went through that. It showed me a lot. It taught me a lot. It helped me get to the place I'm at now. Like, so it's good to see. So I think my light is like dying. I don't know. It didn't even come with a
Mm.
charger. Crazy. So I'm
Was
trying
it,
to
is
see
it a
like
charge? Is it the
it
cube?
didn't even come with a charger with the thing, which is wild. So
Oh,
I'm trying to use my
yeah.
laptop charger. I don't know. It's probably
It's
dying.
probably a USB and then a cube. That's how I plug mine. Mine's plugged to the wall.
This plug say, yeah, it didn't come with no cords or nothing. It just had a thing. So I'm gonna try to figure it out after we get done. But so I'm gonna try to wrap it up, man. Sorry I
Yeah.
had to cut it kind of short, but my damn light keep going out.
Oh, you good, man. Like I said, technical problems would be good. Minor setback, major comeback. We good.
Oh yeah, for sure, man.
That's
But
the
everything
obstacle right there, but you good.
exactly, man. We got to come back stronger next time. That's all that mean. But
Yeah.
I'm like I said, bro. Like your testimony is very powerful. You shared a lot of great things today, man. But you always also just show like the man you are, your character, your passion, your heart, man. There's a lot of men that need to see that. Need to hear that
Mhm.
story. Like it's okay to be passionate about stuff. It's okay to love things and care about people. You don't always have to act so hard and tough all the time to be a man. You still be a man and still have all those attributes. You know? So I was very happy to be able to hear your story, man, and learn more about it. Because some stuff I didn't know, like uh, the Egyptian stuff you growing up. I know we talked about it sometime, but like I don't think we ever went in like full detail with it
Yeah.
as intensely you spoke about it today, man. So it's cool to hear all that stuff.
Definitely. Like I said, like it's okay to be, not be perfect, and that come with time. Like you know, nobody's perfect. And so for me, like I always, like I said, I live life kind of strive on like trying to become the best version of me. And kind of one more thing too, Trail, just like always looking for opportunities for growth within my personal life, professional life, um, spiritual life, whatever it is. Um, and by actually putting the work in for it. Um, so, and the last thing too, I wanted to just share with like, when things are like on your mind and things are like coming up and like you have like this vision and all these different things, like really like focus on those things and really start working towards those things. We shared earlier, Trail, real quick. We shared earlier, we talked before we got on the podcast. But just something that I started doing like past a year and a half, but really been like this past year and really been these past like say 6 months my little girl been here of just waking up 4 or 5 in the morning, maybe 3 in the morning, whenever God wakes me up, and put these visions on my mind, or my mind is going and have all these different ideas. It gives me so much more energy. It's like, okay, here we go. We got this right here. It's time to go. Here we go. Like I'm gonna tackle the day. Um, and so it's very exciting to me because that's the time, like that time of day or time of night. Um, my mind started going in a way where it allows me to kind of focus on those things I need to focus on. It's that me time. So to
Right,
focus on,
and
write
I'm
those
so
things down.
glad I'm so glad you brought that up, Julian, because that's going to tie into what we're going to talk about next week. So
Hmm.
starting next week, we're going to start doing, before, like this little intro before we get into the episode of our switches. So
Hmm.
that's right there could be one of your switches. You
Yep.
need it. You waking up at 3 or 4 in the morning, spending time with yourself and God, it gets you going. It gets you
Hmm.
motivated. It gets you able to flip whatever switches you need to flip for that day to get yourself, doing what you need to do. So that's a very good segue in that. We're gonna talk more about that, next week too. But also we want to show each episode like how anything, there's so many different options and ways you can find to motivate you or help you flip the switch in life. And we're gonna kind of show you guys different examples. It could be waking up in the morning. It could be a book. It could be a show. It could be a song. It could be anything. Pretty much. We want to give
Yeah.
y'all, each episode different examples that you guys can take and utilize in your own life too.
Definitely embrace your story. I think that's the biggest thing with all those different, things you just talked about, movies, songs, all those different things, quotes, motivational things, all these things is it has something that's going to like inspire you, but something that's going to allow you to really like have that excitement. Like, yeah, right now, like you see these examples, like this person went through all this stuff right here, and now this person winning. This person right here said in their song like grew up in the projects, grew up in the hood, this and that, but now we winning. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Um, went through went through identity stuff as a kid. Now we winning. And so really like using that type of stuff to really keep you empowered, keep you up. And really embracing your story because I think that's always amazing. To hear when people talk about that stuff, I'm like, man, people don't realize the power of that stuff. Like it could really change your life.
Again, Julian, good segue. That's the reason we want to share our testimonies. It's powerful to hear somebody else, share their story, their life, their journey. 'Cause everybody's journey is different. You know what I mean? It's never going to be another Julian Jackson again or another Latrell Lee. So, what we have to talk about is very unique, but it's also, very similar to a lot of other stories out there. It's a lot of the people going through similar things that we're going through. We just want to be able to have a platform, a space to share, like, one, you're not alone, and two, like you said, is if I can get through it, you can get through it. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? I know it sounds cliche, but it's true. There's nothing more special than me or Julian or anybody else, other than we might have some different opportunities or different mindset, but it's the capability still within you. You know what I mean? People need to hear that.
Definitely.
So man, we're gonna end it here for today. You got anything else you want to say before we close it? Anything you want to add?
Um, I don't have anything to add. Just I think, like I said, like your story means something. Your story means something to the world. Your story means something to the person the person inside you. So really, like hone in on the person that you are. Hone in on the things that you're going through, the things that you went through, and let them don't let them define who you are, but let them continue to make you grind and continue to show you the blueprint for like where God wants you to go.
So man, I agree, man. So I don't have anything else left to add, man. I agree with everything you said, man. You did an awesome job just going over your journey, man. Your testimony, sharing a lot about yourself, being vulnerable too. That's not an easy thing to do, man. But you killed it. I'm so happy you did it too. But
Definitely.
man, like I said, we'll come back next Thursday. We're gonna try to do it again every single Thursday, man. That's the key. It's one of my core values in life, consistency. So hey, when I'm doing something, I try to be consistent. That's the same thing we're gonna do with this podcast. So every Thursday, we're gonna try to have another episode out and
Hmm.
keep going from there.
Definitely. So make sure you guys subscribe to Silence Whisper Podcast. Make sure you tell your friends and tell their friends and tell their friends to subscribe and like the Silence Whisper Podcast. And make sure you follow us on Instagram at Silence Whisper Podcast. So like I said, make sure you guys tune in next week. And I appreciate you the interview earlier, Trey. And hey, make sure y'all tune in next week.